Okay, so how's everybody doing? All right, so this is the completion of the bridge facade. I'll just pan to the left here where it's going to go and talk about it for a minute here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some tips at the end on how I did a couple of procedures, simply because a lot of that type of work, you know, having a camera hovering over you, gluing the parts and cutting parts out, just doesn't make for very good content. So I'm going to add a few clips at the end that'll show how I did the gussets on the bridge and how I dressed those, which is kind of covers some of the basic 101s of scratch building that I did in some of the earlier content. It's just a few of the procedures. You know, it's a basic sort of framing and cutting and scribing some parts. So I'll add those in at the end of this episode so that a lot of you don't have to wade through it. You can just see the fun part, right? Okay, so I'm going to show you how I dress this space, all right? So first of all, I want to black out this area up here. And rather than paint it black, or black this all out, which is actually always a good idea, which I'll probably do the inside of this staging, which I haven't fully figured out yet. This is just sort of temporary, just so I can shoot with a camera through here. But what I did anyway was I cut a paper template here to fit up in here, okay? That way you don't mess up good material. You just keep trial and error. It's like I taped. I cut this too long, pulled it in, just cut some shapes and then just tape them together until you get the profile around here that you want, and then, you know, make a mark to where you want the bottom to go. So I left about a 1/4 inch at the top here so I can slide it up and down to where the level of the road is going to be right here. So what I did was then I had some black mat board, which I acquired for free. A lot of times if you go to art framing places, they have bins of this stuff, which is no good to them, because frame mats have to be square, like large squares and that. So pieces like this and even larger are really not of much use. So if you ask them nicely, they'll probably give you a bunch for free. So this is flat black, and what I did was I just cut this template out, right? I added a little bit here because I knew I wanted to add about 1/8 of an inch there. So okay, and then this will go up in here, just a sort of a dry fit. Okay, like that. And then the bridge facade, which will fit over these risers. Now these are little strong back risers. They're actually screwed to the end of the frame as I described in the earlier episode. And they're risers, and I have the top frame, which is the same as this, screwed to the top, and down the far end is similar. So since this is a 2-foot staging here, I want to cover all this up, right? So I don't have to look at it. So the inspiration for this scene right here, I'll just show you a black and white clip and a couple of bridge photos which inspired this, okay? Okay, so anyway, this is the bridge, as some of you know I've been working on, and this is a fairly snug fit. And you'll notice how I got this little flimsy piece right here so that it's actually sprung, it's bent inwards there, see that? So that it pulls tight against here, because I don't have a lot of room here and I don't want it pulling off the railings on my locomotive, so, because it happened once and it's not going to happen again. So this just dry fit again. Okay, and then pull that backdrop down a bit. Okay. There she is in place, and then I'll pop in these other buildings just so that you can see what it looks like. See, this is why I like to build everything wild, in and out, right? There's no point in gluing buildings down. None of this stuff is glued. Okay, so that goes there, and then the Dairy Queen, which I, unfortunately, the other day I knocked the sign off. So I can easily repair that, but then it gave me an idea. Maybe I'll leave it off and make it look like this building's abandoned, you know, like have it like that, and then boarded up windows in a rusting old Mercury or something, you know, sitting there by a trash bin, like just maybe with a barrier here, I was thinking, you know. See, I'm getting into it now, right? You know how it is. That's the fun part about doing these layouts, you know. You just evolve little scenes as you get inspiration as you go along. So that's what I might do. I might have like a barrier here and then a rusted old vehicle and some, just inspire some other neat little details. Alrighty. So I'll give you another pan view here. So it's pretty much ready for paint. Oh, and I should mention too about some of these details. Okay, so this was from Rick's, right? That's all I used. This is almost exact like the prototype, right? The railings here. And I didn't have enough, so I carried this over. This is actually prototypical, but further down there are these lamps like torches. So from 1933, Art Deco. This bridge was built in 1933-34, so it had this it's a beautiful bridge. Like I'll show you a couple photos of that as well. And then this little plant on facade is actually built into the concrete, but it was further down on another column. So I brought it back just to add some interest here. So I used some artistic license there, but that's that early 30s Art Deco. That's very prototypical on this bridge too, that like architecturally. Okay, so I know from the photos that there are gussets under each one of these dividers. These reinforcement dividers that you see here. I know on the photos that there are gussets underneath here. So I didn't take any really hard, fast measurements. I just sort of eyeballed the ratio. And what I've done is I've made up these gussets out of 80 thou. This is 80 thou evergreen plastic, and I just drafted up squares and then I split them evenly like this so that I can just scribe them, right? Like you just take a light scribe, really, that's it. That's the beauty of this evergreen plastic. It's so quick to work with. But see there's two, and then I just glue together. See, they just snap easy. You don't have to cut right through them. 80 thou, so it would be 160 or 1.6. But anyway, just to thicken them up. And then I glue them together like this. So I get two like that. And then I just hit them with a board sander. Rough them up a bit. Always rough them up a bit with some sandpaper because it really helps the bond of the glue. And then I just drew a line to the center here of each support, right? And then these get glued in place like so, and just square them up. Goes together quite fast when you get all these gussets in here. Okay, so this is the part that I want to show you about the rounding off of these corners here. Like as I demonstrated earlier, these gussets, right, there were two slabs of 80 thou by 80 thou. I just cut from a square, remember, and I glued them I laminated them together with liquid solvent, and then I made all these gussets. It's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 in total, and I just laid them out to match up with these fencing barriers here, right? That's what I used as a guide when I laid up the railing from this end. And then as you can see, I didn't have enough, so I just built this, and I'll point that out with a photo. It's sort of midway through the bridge span. There's a section kind of like this. It's not the exact place prototypically, but it really doesn't matter because no one's going to know anyway. It's just the look that I want to capture, the period, the early 30s Art Deco bridge, right? So anyway, these gussets have square corners, right? So what I did was I made a small little 3 mil line from the corner here, just rough, 3 mil, 1/8 of an inch. It doesn't really matter, but just something as a visual guide. And what I want to do is I took just a nail file. This is just a Revlon nail file. They're cheap. You can buy these in packages at your local pharmacy. And I just take this and I just file down that corner. You don't have to get it perfectly round. You just file it down, and when you see it going down, you just move it over flat a bit. So, and then I'm going to get this one here. And then what I'm going to do is when I get these rounded off, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut from 10 thou some strips, all right, from a sheet, 10 thou sheet that are this wide. Okay, so here's the strips that I cut from, actually this is 15 thou. It's a little bit thicker than 10, which is okay. And then they're 4 millimeters wide. I just cut them with a straight edge. A whole bunch of extras. And then I just glued the tops on like this. Okay, and then just let that glue set up. It just cleans up nice in here. So you push it up into there. And what I do is I just run my finger over and I bend it like this. Push it down into the corner. Then I just take a chisel blade like this, push it down into the corner, and then I cut it like that. Then I just take a little solvent. This stuff sticks just like CA does, but it's way better glue than CA, obviously, for styrene, but it just sets up really quick. And if you cut it a little bit short, it's no big deal because you can just slide a piece into the bottom there like so. Stuff capillaries into every little crack and crevice, right? And then I'll just nibble that off. Fill it in. Just touch it with a small file tomorrow, the next day. So see how it cleans that up? I'll do one more. So it's glued here first. Like I did this about an hour ago. I don't know, half an hour ago maybe. It sets up pretty fast. And then I just roll it over that curved corner, right? Take the straight edge, push it down into the corner, like so. Solvent. And then wrap it. Push it down. Hold it for a few seconds. If you were using CA with this, you'd be gluing your finger to the model. Anyway, if you use the proper cement like I've showed before, and I'll show you it again, this is what you use for evergreen plastic. Plastruct weld with evergreen. These two here, you can't go wrong. There's if you want to use CA or some other method, that's fine, or the Tamiya thick stuff, but I don't use it because the odor's way too strong. This stuff's way more benign. It's a butyrate, but it's much thinner, far more user-friendly, and it just flows beautifully. It's just great adhesive for building models like this fast. Okay?